So let's look at the top being multiplied. So it's 1 times root 2, which ends up just being root 2. And then you multiply the bottoms together, which is 2 times 2. 4. Now, when you multiply with square root, guys, you multiply the numbers under the square roots, but you leave the square root, okay? So we're going to leave the square root for this answer. But what is 3 times 2? Go. And then again, 2 times 2 is there. Now, the good thing about this, and this is going to happen every single time, guys, every single time, you will always have common denominator here. So there is no need to try to add 2 fractions with different denominators. And all you do now is, this is not the same as that. You cannot combine those. So your answer looks like root 2 plus root 6 over 4.
Is that only for the exception of obviously being rooted?
Say that one more time, Sean.
I know this sounds like a stupid question, but
It's
is
not.
it only because you accept both because they've been rooted? It's like they're both rooted.
Yes. Exactly. If they both were root 6, Sean, then it would be 2 root 6. Because you're combining a root 6 and a root 6. Those are common terms. Since it's a root 2 and a root 4 or 6, they're not common. So you leave them separate. You just leave them separate. They are not common terms, so you have to leave them separate. All right, let's look at number 2. Now, number 2, obviously, we're not adding 2 degrees together because we can't add 2 degrees together that we know to get 15. So now we're going to look at differences. And so do we know 2 angles that are familiar to us that would give us their difference of 15? There you go. And yes, you could also do 60 and 45. 60 minus 45 gives you 15 as well. You still get the same answer, guys. So it's either way. Pretty forgiving here. As long as you get that difference, it doesn't matter what angles you put in there. Yes, you could also use, which I don't know why, but you could also use 240 minus 225. You could still use that, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's nice to do it just on the first quadrant because you don't have to worry about signs. So there you go. 15 minus 30, or 45 minus 30 gives you that 15. And so we label U and V. And so now we look at the formula, which I don't even memorize myself. Cosine and cosine, sine and sine. Okay. Cosine of 45 times the cosine of 30 minus sine of 45 times the cosine of 30. How do you roll? Gwyneth, Johnny. Who else? Is Kyla here? Kyla's not here. Sean, Carly, Sam, Cameron, Gabe, William. Oh. Morning, sir.
Hey, Johnny's late today.
Um,
Johnny Cusa.
you can keep them, dude.
I wish I don't want to.
Oh, yeah. You cut yourself halfway going like, no, never mind. What am I asking for?
Not that one.
Yeah.
He doesn't even shower.
I know, that's stinker. All right. So, Johnny's here. Johnny, glad you showed up. All right, I think I got everybody else. So, Ryan. All right. All right, guys. See if we can get back to what we need to be doing here. So, what is the cosine of 45, guys? Good. Cosine of 30? Good.
Aren't you supposed to add the two sides?
Add the two. Oh, did I do the equation wrong? I did. I misspelled minus. Sorry. Thank you, Daniel.
Why are there 3 cosines and just 1 sine? Like, how it is up there where it's each side is the
Because I'm an idiot.
same? Just wanted to reassure him.
No, it's fine. Y'all call me out on it. Y'all need to keep me in check. All right, and then what's the sine of 45? And then finally the sine of 30. Hey, before we dive into this, look above. We did the same thing. Does anything look familiar? Does anything look better? What do you notice? Yeah, we're multiplying the same values together on the bottom as we did on top. Now, granted, what's on right is on left and what's left is on right here, but we are still multiplying root 2 over 2 times 1/2. That's there. Root 3 over 2 times root 2 over 2, that's over here. So we're doing the same thing, just mixed around. And it's a whole different type of setup. It was a difference, and we use cosine. But we still end up with the same values that we're multiplying together. So, we've already done this work. And so as you can see, we end up with the same answer. Now granted, root 6 is in front this time instead of root 2, but guys, it's positive. We can move it any way we want. I could still go move this here and still get the same exact thing. 2 plus 3 is the same thing as 3 plus 2, right? Yes, no? Yes, it works. No, you're a little late, Johnny. Which was negative?
Like the first equation, cosine 45 degrees minus 30.
This one here?
Yeah, isn't that supposed to be negative?
Is that supposed to be minus there?
Oh, never mind.
I did it wrong earlier. I accidentally put minus there, Mason, and Daniel corrected me on it. It needs to be plus there. I can't write down a formula. That's what day I'm having. Bless you.
It's Friday. It's not very Monday.
Are you ready for the weekend, I guess? All right. So that's how you do it. Basically, you just figure out what two angles is going to give you that sum or difference. Then from there, you just plug it into the formula. Make sure you do it correctly, of course. I bombed recently, but once you get it right, it's just as simple as that. All right? Let's move on to the next one. Find the exact value of sine 42 cosine 12 minus cosine 42 sine 12. So basically, it's kind of reverse here. They've already given you the expanded version of it. Can you tell me, is it sum or difference of sine or cosine? So you got four options. So go up and look and see where it has sine cosine minus cosine sine. What formula is that? Sine. And is it difference or sum? It's difference. So you take it and you say, okay, this value here, of course, is our u. 42 is our u, and 12 is our v. So when you found the equation, you saw it was the sine of u minus v. And so you just go back to it. All right, identified my u as 42. My v is 12. So I end up with the sine of 30. Which we know, sine of 30 degrees is, there you go. So what they'll give you is, now we can't find the sine of 42 and the cosine of 12. We can use our calculator, but we can't do it by hand. So when you go through and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and work through this, now you say, I'm going to use the formula, the equations, in order to now go backwards with it. So now you're giving me the expanded version. Now let's go back and see which one that fits. So what about the next one? Cosine, cosine minus sine, sine. That's all you need to look for in your equation. So which one of these has cosine, cosine minus sine, sine? What? Y'all mumble so well.
Cosine
Cosine
and sum.
and sum. Perfect. So, cosine of u plus v and now we plug in what u and v are. So what's the cosine of 90 degrees, guys? 0. Questions? Comments? Concerns? Random statements of anything in general? Nothing? All right. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's do... How many class practices are there? Hey, look at that. Six, 8, sweet. All right, so let's do 4 of each type, right? 4 of each type. All right, so I'll do y'all do 1 and 5. 1 and 5. You guys do 2 and 6. 2 and 6. You guys do 3 and 7. And you do 4 and 8. 4 and 8. 3 and 7. 2 and 6. And then 1 and 5. Okay? Yep.